Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Red.olaughlin here. Howdy y'all, or should I say howdy all y'all, just so we get everybody in the audience included. We're on a special venue here this particular end of the year, December, and going into January. It's probably going to even possibly go into February. I don't know. We'll look at it as it happens. But we're looking at how can we make your 2024 your best year from your health perspective. That's the main focus that we're doing. Last week, we touched on your subconscious mind. How does the thing that controls 95% of everything you do in the world, the 800-pound gorilla in the room that nobody talks about, that nobody speaks the same language, but yeah, that person is directing everything that's going on. Once you know how to talk to this, you have the advantage of choosing the right words so that your subconscious mind doesn't sabotage you. That's what we talked about last week. This week, we're going to continue that same thing on. We're preparing ourselves mentally in order to take on 2024. So let me get the slides lined up here so we can begin. There we go. First one. Disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I've never been in the pharmaceutical industry. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always be treating symptoms. I love chemistry. I fell in love with it when I was 15 years of age, got a degree in it. Never got a chance to become a chemist because I got an invitation to Vietnam. Things changed after that. I went in a totally different direction. Doesn't matter. Late in life, my wife came down with breast cancer. As part of her chemo treatment, being a caregiver, I ended up back in chemistry researching what can I do to help her through her side effects of chemo and everything else. And then I refound my passion for chemistry. And as a result, I'm back into that area. It's what I live for. I really have a passion for what's happening chemically involved here. I believe our health and our wellness is our own responsibility. It's not our doctors. It's not our parents. It's not somebody else. Unless you're 3 years of age, then obviously it's your parents. But for most of us, it's our own responsibility. This presentation, as always, is primarily set up for education. So we start with awareness. We go to education, and then we're able to take more effective action. We started last week on this journey of optimal health for 2024, and I started out with, we have a lot of things we can talk about. Well, I kind of left it a little haphazard last week, but the direction that I want to go, the path I want to go down is, I want to start with a stable body. Our subconscious mind has to be aligned with our goals. Otherwise, it's going to sabotage us. If we want to lose weight, and we've lost weight in the past with success, I have no problem. I can lose weight anytime. But if I failed in the past multiple times, it's going to get harder and harder and harder to lose weight. And whether that's any goal you have in your life, if you have repeated failures in that particular aspect, your brain is going to say, I have to protect you. It's number one goal in life. Its number one prime directive is to protect you. It doesn't want to see failure. So if you failed before and it looks like you're going to fail again, it's going to stop you. So that being said, get our subconscious mind aligned with our goals, but keeping everything on a positive, straight and narrow. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about mental and emotional health because we need stable emotions and mental health. I'm not talking about the physical health of the brain. I'm talking about those aspects that our doubts, our decision making, those kinds of things, how our feelings, those are the things that we're going to be going into. Because if we don't, we're going to be making poor decisions. We're going to end up with impulsive eating. That's not what we need to start next year. But our overall plan, as I get into it, I'm not talking about this aspect of it, no food, no diet, but we're going to talk about sleep, exercise, fitness, stress management. Those are the things outside of that food and diet. We're going to talk about our diet and nutrition next. Basically, when you're home and when you're away. We'll talk a little bit about organ health, our gut, our brain, our heart. Uh, I guess I got two brains in there. How about that? I meant to put bones, but regardless, I'll change that for next week. We have fat and weight management. They're similar, but they're not the same. Talk about immune system, and then we're going to talk about healthy aging. As that's my blueprint for getting us into an optimal health journey in 2024. So if I'm looking at what are health expectations, I think most of us want to look good, feel good, be able to do things. So if I want to know that, step one is, where am I today? If I don't know where I'm at, how am I going to make a change? I'm kind of unique in the world of annual physicals. I got one in 1968 as I was getting ready to go into the military. I had 31 years of flight physicals, and when I got out of the military in 1999, I ended up maintaining my annual physical every year. And if you can catch something well in advance, whether it's cancer or some other disease, you can generally address it and fix it very quickly because you're catching it on the front end. Sometimes they're expensive. There's a thing called a wellness check, not near as expensive, but it gives you a pretty good assessment of where you're at. Sometimes you may just want to take that couple $100 and not invest it in the doctors right away, but go down and get a series of blood tests. You don't need your doctor's permission to do that, but that test information, if everything's in the normal green range, hey, you're in pretty good shape. But maybe if something's not, that's going to prompt you to go down and sign up for an annual physical. But again, you are responsible for your own health. The blood tests, I looked at a lot of them. I've actually gone down to some of the labs and gotten some done. They're relatively low cost. You can find sales. Local labs are all over the place, especially in the bigger cities. A lot of them are walk-in. They have, here's our special this month, boom. And you can get, instead of a particular one, you get a combined test. You get 4 or 5 for maybe 2 or 3 times the price of one test, but you get so much more. And those I think are very, very valuable. To me, the normal tests the doctors run, they're okay. It gives them a good basis for where you are. If something changes, they can see. But I want to know where I'm at in a specific area. If I want to know heart health, I want a homocysteine level check. If I want to know something about inflammation in the body, I want to see reactive protein check. Those are relatively inexpensive. In some cases, even home tests can be done. But it all brings me back to a statement that was made in Alice in Wonderland. Alice comes to the fork in the road, talking to the Cheshire Cat, and asking the cat, which road do I take? I go left or right? And the cat says, it doesn't matter which road you take. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So you have to know where you're going. If you're going for better health, what needs to improve? Insanity, it was credited with Einstein, but there's a lot of other people out there that have taken that same thing and basically doing the same thing and expecting different results is insanity. So if you set out last year for better health and didn't get it, and the previous year and the previous year, maybe that's a little bit of insanity. You're doing the same thing. So part of my program is awareness. Awareness leads to education. Education now allows you to talk to your doctor to make better decisions, or allows you to make a better decision. Okay. If I'm looking at expectations, I'm talking to a word from last week. You talk about expect versus need versus want. Expect is a word that communicates right straight to the subconscious mind. But expectations, implementing them sometimes can be difficult. I always recommend implementing incremental changes. If I want to go hardcore, okay, I'm going to go on a 48-hour fast. I've never been on a fast in my life. That's a hardcore change. It's a whole lot easier to start with an 18-hour fast or a 20-hour fast or something, but incrementally change. I used to live in Hawaii. I was stationed there in the military, and it didn't take much. We were flying from Honolulu to the Bay Area, San Francisco area in California. And if you take offline that 2,000 miles and you're just a couple of degrees off on one side or the other, it wouldn't take much over time because those incremental changes keep building on themselves. That first couple, 3 degrees now becomes 6 or 8 degrees, becomes 10 degrees, becomes more. And you could either end up in Canada or Mexico and you never know it. I have been on some flights where heaven only knows what happened, but we are 200 miles off course, and it is what it is. You have to fix it and get back on course. So to fix things, you need some feedback. Sometimes accountability helps. Sometimes tweaking your why. We talked about a lot of reasons why people make changes in their life. And sometimes they're not strong enough to really factor into you making a decision. And whether you're Tony Robbins or Maxwell Maltz or Vince Poscente or uh, a couple others that we talked about, you have to have a really good reason for why you're doing it. And you have to have a really good way of describing it. If I just want to lose weight and I've done that unsuccessfully, I need to change my verbiage. I need to lose inches. I need to eat healthier. I need to lose fat. Something that is not going to cause a sabotage reaction from the brain. Sometimes rewards are occasional. Let's say that I'm on a very strict no carbohydrate diet. I know that I can have a great spaghetti meal once a week and have no problem with it because I know from that particular kind of diet that rewards can be incorporated. But I can't have 3 days in a row of heavy carbohydrates because that ruins everything that started out. I used to go, I was living in Atkins in Germany in the late 90s, and I lost a lot of weight, 40 pounds or more. And I would go down to Italy for a weekend, 2 or 3 days. I would come back, I'd gain 12 pounds. And 2 weeks later, I'm back down to where I was. But you have a lot of immediate water weight gain. So when you lose a lot of weight on the very front end of anything, it's generally water weight. Then you start losing fat. Then you start losing inches. But we can share our success with others. We can learn from our mistakes. But we need to focus, having mentors. Now, whether those mentors are part of YouTube, part of a book you're reading, part of going to some webinar, we need to prioritize what's really important with what's going on. And why do we do that? Primarily to avoid. So where would I start? Me personally, I want to know where I'm at today. That to me is number one. So I have my annual physical. Well, my insurance, basically no cost. But if cost is an issue, your insurance doesn't cover everything, assess what can you spend, what can you get as free as you can or as low cost as you can. Sometimes a wellness visit is almost next to nothing. Sometimes they have things set up in various convention centers as part of another program. Come in here and we'll do 5 different tests on you for no charge, whatever. But anyway, but we know that local laboratories cost a lot of money. So do the ones that your testing is sent to the laboratories for your insurance. But sometimes we can do what it's called a self-assessment, and we can look at what am I eating, what am I deficient in. If I am a vegan, I'm probably deficient in vitamin B12 because they only come in meat, in protein. If I'm on a diet where I'm avoiding carbohydrates, maybe I'm deficient in something else. Myself, because I don't like organ meats, I don't particularly eat a lot of things that have a lot of vitamin K2 in it. So I know that I'm deficient in that. I take a supplement. Vitamin E, there's 8 different chemicals, molecules in vitamin E. E is an echo. And that vitamin, you don't get them all in one particular fruit, vegetable, plant, whatever. So you need multiple sources. So assess, what are you really, take a journal, write down what you eat every day, and then just do a little bit of research. What am I missing? If I'm eating a lot of greens, a lot of colored vegetables, fruits, if I'm eating a fair amount of cruciferous vegetables with sulfur, if I have a little bit of protein and good fats, I'm probably not deficient in too many things. But if all I'm eating every day is meat and potatoes and I'm missing a lot of greens, I'm probably deficient in a lot. Am I deficient in my exercise? Am I deficient in managing my stress? Most of us are in both. So for me, I must know where I am at at right this minute before I begin. That awareness is that self-assessment. I'm not eating enough greens. Okay, I can change that. Then maybe what I'm eating these greens, what are they deficient in that I need? My wife, at the end of her chemo, I had just finished a book on the Walls protocol written by Dr. Terry Walls. And she, very late in life, she's an internist, she came down with MS. And no matter what the doctors did, no matter what medicine she was on, she got worse and worse, ended up in a wheelchair for years. She did a study of the human body, particularly the autoimmune system in our gut, and that's where the MS comes from. And she wrote a book called The Walls Protocol, WAHLS. Well, between chemo and radiation, I put my wife on the Walls Protocol. They call for 3 meals a day. We could barely get 1.5. Didn't matter. We put her on that. All of the fatigue, she was sleeping 2-3 2-hour naps a day. No matter what was going on, she didn't want to eat. Just lots of problems. Getting the nutrition in the Walls Protocol nutritional diet, it's over 30 nutrients the body needs on a daily basis. In 48 hours, fatigue was gone, no longer taking any naps. She went through radiation without a problem, and the doctor said her fatigue would probably get worse. The last day of radiation, we jumped in a car, headed off to Jacksonville, Florida from Houston. That's 1,000 miles. I rented a U-Haul. She followed me 48 hours after her last radiation visit by herself, 500 miles a day in a car, no problems. How could she take months of chemo, weeks of radiation, and eliminate it all with diet? But she did. So I know that part of our awareness and education is we don't even know what we don't know. So in order to achieve a baseline, let's make sure that our physical, our mental, emotional, all those things are at least in the normal range so that when we start out 2024, we know we're starting on a good baseline platform. For physical, that's easy. We take tests, go to the doctors, but we also ought to assess our drugs and what our equipment we. If I have a sleep apnea machine, is it current? Is it up to date? Those kind of things. Are the drugs I'm taking? What side effects are there? Lots of things that I can learn fairly easily with just a little bit of search. Let's talk a little bit about mental health and emotional health. Most of us are probably okay, but there are many factors that happen. And the easiest way to assess that is, are you feeling the same every day? Morning, noon, and night, 10-4, whatever you want to do. Just stop, maybe set your alarm every 4 hours and stop and think, am I okay? And chances are 19 out of 20, 95% of the time, your mental health is going to be fine. Your emotional health is going to be fine. I'm feeling pretty good every day. Now, what happens? Somebody comes up, your boss, spouse, kids, co-workers, traffic, pick it. It doesn't matter. Something you hear on the news, a radio, it doesn't matter. Something will probably upset you. If it upsets you easily, maybe you need to reassess, why is that bothering me? So if I take a look at what my current stress management program is, and most people don't even have one, but for those people who go to the gym almost every day, exercise is a great stress management program. Smiling, laughing, meditation, all sorts of things out there. Dr. Google and Dr. YouTube have lots and lots and lots of things. Go on YouTube and just put in stress management. Find one that you enjoy. EFT is one that I love, emotional freedom techniques. But look at what's out there and what are you doing? What should you be doing? Time management has always been an issue with just about everybody. You do really well for a while, maybe first of the year, January, things are going well first 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden, I knew it wasn't going to work because I failed in the past. My brain sabotaged me, boom, I'm back to where I was. But one of the things I do every end of year, beginning of the year is, where am I spending my money? Where am I spending my time? Do I really need to be going to that meeting? Am I getting enough return on my investment for my time or my money there? Do I really need this subscription? Do I really need this program? So whatever I can change, I mean, what I was doing prior to COVID, not doing anything like that anymore. What was I doing a little while ago, a year ago? I've changed that. With AI, artificial intelligence coming out, I expect some major changes this time next year than what I had that I'm planning right this minute. Things change, we need to adapt. So what can be added to my schedule? that can be fitted in, what can be deleted to make room for it. What has the best return on my investment of my time and my money? Where's my passion? Like I found out with my wife, most of my stuff that I was doing was self-esteem, self-motivation, by speaking in front of crowds, selling my CDs and my books and things like that. But my real passion is chemistry. And when I found out that my real passion in chemistry is with longevity, with aging, that's where I spend most of my time nowadays. So find out what your passion is, because you will do things for your passion that you wouldn't do otherwise. What's easier and harder for you to do? And also know what's a guaranteed failure. If you want me to eat a Brussels sprout, absolute guaranteed failure, never happen. There are some things that you know are guaranteed failure. Don't even attempt them. Find out what a good workaround is. So when we start looking at time management, we're looking at primarily avoiding multitasking. It used to be the key thing. I can multitask. Well, they're finding out more and more now that that was a good saying. Some people could actually do it, but the bulk of us couldn't. We really need to start practicing saying or no, I can't do that right now. If you want a really good place to do that, the next time somebody calls up and solicits you on the phone unannounced, no. You don't have to explain why, just no. It's a good place to practice with somebody you don't know. But if somebody comes up and says, hey, I need you for the, I really would love to do it, but I can't. Practice saying no, because that takes your time away from you. Schedule your breaks. If I'm working here doing 3 hours working on a particular program, doing something, maybe I need a break at an hour and 15 minutes. Maybe I need a break every hour. Maybe I need a break every 40 minutes. A break can be literally a minute or less. It doesn't have to be get up and walk around the block in 15 minutes. A break can literally be a minute long. Get away physically from where you're at, stand up, stretch, get sit back down again. Limit your distractions. Most of our distractions are typically digital. You sit down at the computer, you're getting ready to do something, boom, all of a sudden you're going through your digital world. There's your emails, there's the weather, there's the news, there's social media. Everything's there that are distractions. And those things can take up a lot of time. You get a phone call in, you have a thing on the phone says, Joe's calling. Do I really have time for Joe right now, or do I need to call Joe back when I have better time? So if I don't have that distraction right now, boom. So just let the phone ring. Let it go to voicemail. Boom, you can take care of it later. I find that at my age, if I don't write something down, it will not happen. It's as simple as that. So for me, I have to-do lists all over the place. They get scratched up. I can revamp them. And something that's 2, 3 weeks old, do I really still need to do that? Well, maybe I do, but maybe that gets transferred to a longer term, lower priority thing. Some people find it very easy to keep a journal, particularly if you're having food issues, weight issues, anxiety issues. Keep a journal as what caused that reaction. What are you eating? If you went to bed at night and you happen to have a lot of gas, couldn't get comfortable no matter what you did, maybe it was something you ate. That journal will tell you. Sometimes you journal not only the food you ate, but what's going on in your life in conjunction with that. Maybe a coworker got upset with you. Maybe somebody almost had a wreck on your. It doesn't matter what it is. Write it down, because that is what happened that day. Many of us find having an accountability partner really works, because now at the end of every Sunday afternoon, I email somebody. I said, I didn't get this done today. That reflects poorly on me. Well, if I actually got a little bit done incrementally, I can say that makes me, I got something done. So it doesn't work for everyone, but it does work for many. And it doesn't help to have your spouse do it. Maybe a good friend, good buddy at work, whatever. What works for you works for you. But that journey has to start with where you are today. How am I going to change today into something else? So for me, my personal assessment, if I'm looking at emotional and mental health, if I'm looking really, what's the difference between mental health and emotional health? Mental health is being able to make good decisions. It's that decision making portion of my entity, my brain. The emotional aspect of that is, how am I feeling? If my feelings are hurt, that's the emotional end. There's a major difference between mental health and emotional health. So if I'm looking at my mood changes over 6 months, has my mood changed 6 months ago? If it has, why? Stress will take care of it. So stress hasn't changed in the last couple of months. Maybe the stress management I'm using is not effective. Maybe I need to use it more often. Anyway, those are things. So with that being said, we're down to my last minute to wrap things up for today. So let me get on down here toward the end of the show. Okay, there we go, back up one. Archived on USA Global TV and Radio on YouTube. All the programs are there. Look for Talking Heads, Red O'Laughlin. I've talked about heart health, nutrition, stress, toxins, longevity, weight management, many, many, many different things. Please just go there and look, and you'll find a wealth of information. I can be found on Amazon or on my website, red.olaughlin.com. That's red, R-E-D, like the color, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com. So it's REDOLAUGHLIN.com. And if I'm looking for something to help me this particular week, The Joy of Ageless Health talks about how disease begins at the cellular level in the body with chronic low-level cellular inflammation and what you can do about it. So with that being said, I look forward to continuing our journey next week, and have a wonderful, wonderful end of 2023, and I'll bid you the best 2024 coming up. Bye now.